You are listening to The Memory Keeper by Evan Vaile. Chapter 18.
"What time is it?" Ratboy asked. The seven were making their way through the cavern to the ruined escalator, each holding a flaming torch. Guill O'tine stooped to pick up a severed hand which had a wristwatch still attached. Incredibly, it was working. Holding it aloft to the light of his burning torch, he checked the digital readout. 7:42 p.m., he declared. "Must be about 30 minutes since the train crash," Ratboy mused. Guill twisted the dead thumb into the universally recognized thumbs-up position, then returned his attention to the watch. It was an elaborate affair with countless useless functions. "Ooh, nice one," he murmured, slipping the watch off the stray hand. "I think I'll keep this." They all paused at the half-demolished escalator to consider their options. For Ratboy, who was 5 feet and 2 inches tall, the bottom step was particularly far out of reach. It was finally decided that Slayer and Caliper would boost everybody up one at a time. Shady Atkins handed his torch and shotgun to Ratboy before being hoisted up by the two big men. He scrambled onto the lowest step, then reached down for the equipment. Ratboy passed him the torch, but Shady rejected the shotgun. "Leave them," he said. "We don't need them anymore. We're survivors now, remember? Someone else is responsible for this mess. The weapons make us conspicuous." Ratboy wasn't sure what conspicuous meant, but understood the gist of Shady's thought. The remainder of the company discarded their weapons, and one by one were lifted up to the next level by the muscular arms of Caliper and Slayer. Guill O'tine insisted on taking the director's head with him as a memento of his time with the man. Shady stood on the upper level and yelled at him that enough was enough, and he couldn't take it with him because he wouldn't be able to explain it to the emergency workers outside. The Frenchman complained, then found a backpack to conceal the head in and was lifted up. The two big men followed, and soon the group skulked along the deserted upper level, heading for the next escalator. Shady passed by a snack food vending machine and stopped to stare through the transparent plastic at the goodies inside. His reflection in the window leaned close, watching him, watching the food. "Hey, check this out," he called to his chums. "It's a food machine." Slayer joined him. "A what?" "A food machine," Shady explained, rolling his eyes. "Don't you remember? Those packets are filled with food." Slayer looked closer. "Don't look like food to me," he said. "Just looks like plastic." Everyone else took turns peering through the window, arguing about whether or not violet crumble was a chocolate or a color. Caliper wrapped his huge hands around one edge of the large rectangular machine and lifted it off the ground experimentally. Too heavy for him alone, but... "Slayer," he said. "The other side." Caliper and Slayer picked the machine up and sent it crashing into the nearest wall. The steel outer casing remained intact, but the transparent plastic shattered. Packets of potato chips and chocolate bars scattered across the floor. Shady selected his favorite and peeled the wrapper back. It had been 2 years since he had eaten chocolate, and that bar bore the brunt of his deprivation. By the time he had torn open his third bar, the rest of the team were gorging themselves on chips and chocolate and giggling like children in a candy store. Their gluttony lasted for 10 minutes. What they didn't devour, they stuffed into their pockets. With their faces smeared with chocolate, they retrieved their torches and pressed on. Their passage through the remainder of the subway station was uneventful. When Shady saw the flashing red and blue lights at the exit, he convinced everyone to throw away their burning torches and remember that they were survivors from the train wreck, not escaping inmates from the program. The 7 of them swaggered out into the light, munching contentedly on snacks and glancing around with interest. Emergency workers rushed to their aid, but were swatted away. The company sauntered along like movie stars gliding down red carpet until a young blonde doctor wearing a name tag which read Dr. Emily Marin stopped them with a sharp command. She frowned, noting the shaved heads. Just like the other one who disappeared only a few minutes ago. "Please," she implored, blocking their path. "I'm a doctor. I just want to examine you to see that you are okay." Ratboy smiled demurely at her without parting his lips. Then suddenly he lunged forward, baring his 2 sharpened teeth and hissing in her face like a crazed animal. The doctor reeled back, too shocked for words, almost stumbling over the bonnet of a car. Ratboy continued smiling and moved on without a word. The doctor watched him go but made no further attempt to stop him. Slayer leaned across conversationally and said to the distressed woman, We're with him, then continued after Ratboy. The dark alleys attracted them like flies to a carcass. 15 minutes later, with the sounds of the sirens far away, the company faced one another in a dank laneway. There was a grim silence as an honest moment passed between the killers. Shady Atkins was the first to speak. A hint of humour crept into his dead eyes, but it was too dark for the others to see. "You all suck. I want you to know that," he said. "But thanks for the ride. It's been fun." "Yeah, I'd pay that," Caliper grunted. "This is one party I won't soon forget. But if any of you bastards tries to follow me, I won't think twice about breaking your neck. So don't get any ideas. From here on, I go alone." "Don't kid yourself," Slayer retorted. In the half-light of the alley, he was a big silhouette, the only one who dared challenge Caliper. "I wouldn't spend my time with you if you were the last person left on the planet. You'll be back inside in less than a week, you dumb bastard." "We'll see," Caliper growled. Guill O'tine cleared his throat. The Frenchman was still suave and stylish, despite committing the considerable faux pas of keeping a severed head in his backpack. "I think I'm going to enjoy Melbourne really very much," he declared. "I feel at home already." "We messed up the director real good, didn't we?" Roan suggested. "Yeah, we did," Styles said. Everybody agreed that it was so, and chuckled at the man's grisly fate. Guill patted his backpack paternally. Ratboy looked to each of his companions, thinking if he saw any of them ever again, that would be too soon. The only one he could bear the presence of was Slayer, and the two of them had already spoken about working together in the near future. "All right," Ratboy said, tiring of the sentimentality. His missing ears didn't look quite as ugly in the darkness, but there was no hiding the rodent-like features of his scarred face. "Good hunting, boys." The posse grumbled their final goodbyes, then split up and disappeared into the night, each glancing over his shoulder suspiciously until the others were far out of sight.
That is the end of this chapter. To listen to the next chapter on YouTube or to purchase the digital ebook from Amazon, see the links in the description.